Before moving into day 5, we'll first finalize our day 4 coverage by summarizing the events at the tail end of the day, which have again been expanded on. Notably, Karl Jobst was first called to the stand on day 4, correcting our previous report that this didn't happen until day 5. Billy's last witness for day 4 was Isaiah Triforce Johnson, who Karl Jobst viewers may remember from being involved with the fake plaques in the Twin Galaxies case. Triforce, a YouTuber and head of Empire Arcadia, recounted his interactions with figures like Walter Day and Billy Mitchell. He compared Billy to Michael Jordan, explaining how people in the gaming world still respect and admire Billy despite the controversies. Triforce also shared that Billy seemed not his confident self after Karl's video surfaced, describing Billy as paranoid and erratic. Billy reportedly told him, "You don't understand, this is not about games," and expressed his deep concern with the situation, saying, "If they even make this out to be true, I'll lose my life and my wife." Finally, at the end of day 4, Karl Jobst took the stand and described how he first heard of Billy Mitchell through The King of Kong in 2009, forming a negative impression of him. Karl became aware of the Twin Galaxies dispute in late 2017, when allegations surfaced that Billy's Donkey Kong scores were achieved using MAME, multiple arcade machine emulator, rather than on an original arcade machine. Karl explained that MAME produces distinct visual cues, which were used as evidence to claim that Billy's scores were illegitimate. "There's tons and tons of evidence demonstrating Billy's scores were fake," Karl said, recalling his close attention to the dispute. The discussion moved to Apollo Legends' lawsuit. Karl noted that he had included the claim of Apollo settling with Billy in a video based on what he had heard. After receiving concerns from Keemstar and a legal threat from Billy, Karl temporarily removed the claim, but later reinstated it, pending further confirmation. "I didn't want to spread misinformation," Karl explained, adding that after receiving word from Apollo's brother, he edited the video again to remove the claim and posted a retraction in July 2021. BB's cross-examination focused on Karl's livelihood. Karl explained that his entire income comes from YouTube ads, sponsorships, and Patreon, stating that YouTube is my only source of income. BB pressed further on how Karl's income increases with viewership, suggesting that he financially benefits from controversies like Billy's. Karl clarified that while more views could lead to increased revenue, YouTube's algorithms and fluctuating ad rates make it difficult to predict earnings based on any one video. BB also questioned Karl about his Patreon, and Karl confirmed that he earns around $1,000 a month from donations, separate from his sponsorships and ad revenue. Day 5 of the defamation trial between Billy Mitchell and Karl Jobst focused primarily on Karl's continued cross-examination by Billy's barrister, BB, while also including the impactful testimony of David Race, a former Billy supporter turned skeptic. The day revolved around Karl's YouTube content, the financial aspects of his Billy-related videos, and the breakdown of Karl's views on Billy's reputation. BB began by scrutinizing Karl's YouTube analytics, concentrating on the revenue generated from videos related to Billy Mitchell. BB attempted to frame Karl's Billy-related content as financially motivated, suggesting that Karl targeted Billy for views and profit. Karl acknowledged that his Billy videos performed well, but refuted the idea that his channel was solely focused on Billy. He emphasized that many of his other videos also garnered significant attention, stating, "No, all my videos get a high number of views." When pressed further, Karl added that he'd consider hundreds of thousands of views to be average for his channel, explaining, "I always get hundreds of thousands of views on videos, and a high number for me would be in the millions." The questioning intensified when BB probed into Karl's failure to disclose sponsorship earnings in court documents. BB highlighted specific instances where Karl earned money through endorsements and ads in videos about Billy, attempting to establish a pattern where Karl financially benefited from repeatedly discussing Billy. Karl did not deny that sponsorships were involved, but clarified that YouTube ad revenue and sponsorships were separate matters. BB also focused on Karl's claim that Apollo legend Benjamin Smith paid Billy a large sum of money as part of a settlement. Although Karl admitted that he initially believed the claim based on multiple sources, he retracted it after speaking to Apollo's family. BB accused Karl of deliberately reinstating the contested claim in his video after receiving a concerns notice from Billy's legal team. Karl countered that while he believed the claim at the time, he later removed it upon further investigation, maintaining that his aim was not to mislead his audience, but to be transparent about updates. As the cross-examination progressed, BB emphasized Karl's public comments about Billy, including references to Billy as legitimately evil and other derogatory terms, which BB argued showed Karl's intent to harm Billy's reputation. BB asked, "Billy Mitchell is legitimately evil. Do you still believe those words?" Karl replied, "I do believe Billy is trying to ruin lives, but I have matured over the past few years and wouldn't use the words legitimately evil now." The tone shifted when David Race, a prominent witness, testified via Zoom. David Race had been a strong supporter of Billy for years, particularly during the initial stages of the 2018 Twin Galaxies dispute. He recounted how, after hearing about the allegations against Billy, he actively defended him, convinced that the accusations were unfounded. At the time, David believed that Billy's reputation as a gaming icon should be protected, and he viewed the accusations as nothing more than an attack on a well-known figure in the community. David detailed his early involvement, including defending Billy in online forums and even conducting his own testing on the hardware that Billy claimed to have used. He noted that he initially thought the claims against Billy were a nothing burger. However, his opinion began to shift after he conducted more thorough testing and reviewed new evidence, particularly footage from a 2006 interview with Robert Mruchek, which showed portions of Billy's DK tape. In this clip, one could see the emulation signatures which Billy told him he never used. This was a critical turning point for David, as it contradicted Billy's previous statements and made it impossible for him to continue defending Billy. David's testimony was crucial because it painted a picture of how a longtime supporter of Billy, who had initially sought to clear Billy's name, had been forced to change his view based on mounting evidence. He recalled pushing Billy and his camp to release corroborating evidence that was never produced, further cementing his skepticism. By 2019, David could no longer defend Billy and publicly stated that Billy's claims were indefensible. He also emphasized that Billy's reputation in the gaming community had plummeted, with many viewing him as a cheater and a litigious figure bent on attacking critics rather than defending his own scores. BB attempted to cross-examine David by focusing on his past defense of Billy and whether he was embarrassed by his shift in opinion. David acknowledged that he was embarrassed to have initially defended Billy, but emphasized that, as more evidence came to light, he had no choice but to change his stance. BB also probed David's communication with gaming event organizers, suggesting that David actively worked to damage Billy's reputation by reaching out to events where Billy was scheduled to appear. David countered that his actions were driven by a desire to share factual information about Billy's past behavior, not to sabotage Billy's appearances. David's testimony was significant, not only because of his detailed account of how his view of Billy shifted, but also because it highlighted the broader perception of Billy within the gaming community. David described Billy's reputation as tarnished, with many in the community viewing him as a cheater who pursued lawsuits to silence his critics. David's remarks, such as comparing Billy's circle to a cult, further underscored the deep division between Billy's defenders and the growing number of people who believe the evidence against him. The courtroom shifted focus again to Karl as BB resumed cross-examination, calling back to Karl's statement in his TG declaration, where he said, "When talking on facts, I generally show evidence within the video." BB referenced a December 18th, 2023 video featuring a call between Karl Jobst and Mudahar of the channel Some Ordinary Gamers, which had a quote from Karl around 4340. "I feel like, aside from the Billy Mitchell stuff, I'm usually not too, I generally keep it pretty factual." BB asked Karl if we should infer from that statement that Karl doesn't keep things factual when discussing Billy. Karl clarified that he provides both facts and opinions in his Billy Mitchell videos. BB highlighted Karl's more colorful statements about Billy, including calling him legitimately evil and a scumbag, and asked if Karl denied embellishing his content. Karl denied embellishing, confirming that while he expressed strong opinions, they were based on facts. BB also called attention to Karl's tweet following Apollo Legends' settlement announcement, in which Karl said, "Don't worry guys, I will never back down." When pressed on what he meant by this, Karl explained that he meant he would not back down from Billy if he were sued. BB then asked if Billy had actually sued him at that point, to which Karl confirmed that Billy had not, though he had been threatened with legal action. BB continued to dig into Karl's statements regarding Apollo Legend, focusing on the concerns notice Karl received for his video, dated 30th of July 2020, and the settlement agreement between Billy and Apollo dated 22nd of August 2020. BB presented the timeline to suggest Karl knowingly published content that was unverified at the time and reintroduced contested claims after receiving legal warning. Karl was also asked to explain his use of the phrase silly bitchel, which he tweeted after Apollo's settlement was announced. BB pressed Karl on whether the tweet was intended to mock Billy and inflame the situation further. Karl downplayed the significance of the tweet, stating it was meant as a lighthearted joke and wasn't directly tied to any legal matters, but rather an offhand comment to his followers. BB pointed out Karl's habit of using sensationalist language in his videos and social media, emphasizing that this could mislead viewers into interpreting his opinions as facts. Karl conceded that he occasionally used provocative language for impact, but reiterated that he always differentiated between opinion and fact in his content. As BB wrapped up his cross-examination, KB had a chance to clarify Karl's stance on various points. KB asked Karl about his thoughts on Guinness World Records and their decision to reinstate Billy's records. Karl made it clear that his dislike for Guinness was not solely based on their decision regarding Billy, but rather on their overall practices. As an example, Karl said a mattress company could partner with Guinness over something silly like the number of mattresses toppled, and Guinness would say, "Pay us $10,000 and we'll have someone come and verify that." And with that, Day 5 concluded. The judge scheduled the next court date for October 8th, aiming to complete the remaining witness testimonies and closing statements. If all goes to plan, any overflow evidence will be heard on October 9th, with final arguments set for October 11th.